All right, good evening, everyone. I see a few participants are still coming on to the Zoom, so I'm going to wait just a little bit longer to get started. Hello to those that are joining in. I'm going to wait just a few more minutes to get started. Thanks for being here. All right, I'm going to get going. So good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Bay, the principal of Lake Bluff Elementary School. Joining me this evening to co-host our first orientation event is my teammate in leading this school. I'm proud to introduce Mrs. Audrey Jurov. Audrey, you want to give a wave? Wonderful. So I'm going to get started. I've got a presentation. I'm going to share my screen so that you can follow along on all of the important information that we have for our families today. All right. So welcome again, Lake Bluff Elementary School orientation to our Return to Learn, August 26th, 2020. So leading this presentation tonight will be myself, Kelly Bay, the principal, Lake Bluff Elementary School. Joining me here, I have, Audrey, do you want to introduce?
Yes, hi, I'm Audrey Jurov. I'm the assistant principal here at Lake Bluff Elementary, and I am super excited to be joining the team and looking forward to a great year.
All right, so here's what you can expect for this evening. Our goals and agenda include a welcome. I'll walk you through the structure for tonight so that you know what to expect and who some of these other faces are that you can see on the screen. We want to give you a look at Lake Bluff Elementary School, inside of our school, and even some places outside look a little bit different. We want to run you through a sample day for our remote learners and our in-person learners. We want to spend more time talking about remote learning this fall. We know that I'm hoping we've got some students that are watching and some tips to help parents and students get ready to start when school begins. And then we will leave some time at the end for questions. Right now, if you are joining us via Zoom, you do have the ability to use the Q&A feature. So there's a Q&A that you can see at the bottom of your screen. It should open a text box and it would allow you to push a question to those of us that are the panelists and hosting the event tonight. So I just want to make a quick introduction because you may see some other faces. We do have Principal Nate Blackmere from Lake Bluff Middle School, who is going to be helping with some of the Q&A this evening. Hi, Nate. Paul Sanchez is a new member of our team here as part of the tech department. He is leading technology and here to support us in case we need any assistance. We're really glad to have Paul on our team. You will notice at some point that Mr. Joe Jaxie will join in. He is our new assistant principal at Lake Bluff Middle School, and he will be helping Nate, myself, and Audrey to address any of the Q&A questions that come about this evening. So they're sort of in the background. For those families that have students at the middle school, Audrey and I will stick around from 7 to 8 o'clock for the middle school presentation. So let's get started. So we're going to just dig right in and orient you to some of the processes and procedures that we want families to understand and know about and expect for the start of our school year. So self-certification this year will be via an app from Frontline. We want families to know that we're going to be using and utilizing text messaging to remind you to self-certify each morning, so that you can ensure that your child is well enough to come to school and not experiencing any of the symptoms. We are expecting that parents or guardians complete this self-certification by 8 a.m. That will allow us adequate time to get students into the building and address any self-certification responses that we had not received by arrival time. We want to just launch this evening with some of the other pieces, just as families are thinking and preparing. Masks this year. So all of our in-person learners, we're asking that you pack at least 2 face masks with learners, with your students as you send them to school. We do have a few guidelines in regards to these masks. We are asking that families send cloth or surgical masks.
Kelly, I don't know if it's just me. I hate to interrupt, but all I see on my screen is your original slide. None of the slides. I don't know if you can go into present mode.
Thanks for letting me know. I'm gonna stop that. I appreciate you catching that. Give me one moment to try to do that again. I think it's because I have it up here. Here. Do you see my mask slide now? Okay, thanks. I'm going to rewind a little bit because I think that I know that I'm a visual person, so I just want to allow people to see again. I appreciate you catching that. Sorry, I had a couple screens going. I was feeling techie in the moment with my additional desktop screen, and that wasn't working for me. So here's our agenda this evening. Procedures, looking at Lake Bluff Elementary, running you through a sample day, more emphasis on remote learning, getting ready, and some tips to support families, and then we will have time for questions. So just so you have the visual here, Frontline is the app and tool that we will be using to self-certify students before they enter the building. You will get a text message reminder, and we're asking that families complete self-certification by 8 a.m. So you've got some pictures of masks here. We will have LBES masks for all of the students here at school and for our adults in the building, but we know there are lots of different kinds out there. So the few guidelines here are that families are utilizing a cloth mask, a surgical mask, and we are asking for no bandanas or the gator masks. Gator masks are the ones that you can pull over and wear around your neck and then pull up. We are not, we will not be supporting the use of the gator mask here at LBES or really throughout LB65. And just gonna put in a little plug, you'll probably hear it a few more times, but it's really a great idea to practice wearing your mask. I know even as an adult, it's something that's taken some getting used to. And so as with anything new, just practicing for short bursts at a time is gonna be highly beneficial for our students. So I hate to start with the seriousness, but I do think it's important. And I think that we're our best listeners in the beginning of any presentation. So I just need to emphasize for all of our in-person folks that a proper mask, self-certification are required to enter the building for this fall. I'm going to shift over to Mrs. Jurov to talk a little bit about some of the practices that our children will use to get to school this year.
Thank you, Kelly. You know, safety is our number one priority here at Lake Bluff, and it's going to take all of us to work together to make sure that we stay safe while attending school. So we want to just kind of go over a few things with everybody, just to make sure we're on the same page and lay out those expectations. When coming to school, we'll have students that will be riding the bus. And we would like for those that are riding to practice social distancing and to please wear a mask while waiting for the bus at the bus stop, sitting in your assigned seat, and then keeping your mask on while on the bus. This will be really important. We also would ask that our bus riders would please follow directions from the bus driver and the first rows of the bus will be the first to exit the bus, followed by the second rows, and so forth. For our walkers and bikers that will be coming to school and riding to school, we do ask that your masks be worn upon entering the crosswalk. We will have staff members there ushering kids across the street, and we'd like to keep staff and students safe. So we would request that you have your masks on while going through the crosswalk and coming into the school. We would ask that you practice social distancing while walking or riding to school as best you can. We would like for students to maintain a safe distance at the crosswalks and while coming onto school property. And then we would like for our students to park any bikes that they ride to school at the blue bike stands that are located at the circle entrance when entering into the front of Lake Bluff Elementary. So there's lots of bike racks there. Kids can do that. So let's talk a little bit more and dig into our arrival and dismissal here at Lake Bluff Elementary. I try to create a simple graph for you to kind of illustrate how we're going to usher in close to 300 students here at LBES. The front of the slide here, I don't have, oh, you don't see my arrow. The red arrows at the bottom where you see the parking lot is where we will be having our parents drop off their students. And so we are trying to maximize as much of that area as possible so that we can try to keep that flow of traffic moving. And we will also be having some assistance from the city of Lake Bluff to kind of keep that traffic flowing, because we do realize that we'll have a lot of people coming in. If you look closely at the diagram, you'll notice a green arrow at the front. We would like for all cars to pull all the way in through the parking lot, entering in from Washington into the circle area, and then coming out right where you see the top of that green arrow. That's where we would like for our cars to start to line up. And then we will have staff members and faculty out there to monitor the students as we have them exit their vehicles. We would like for our students to be able to exit the vehicle on their own. I understand that sometimes kids are still little and they might not be able to do that just yet. So we were hoping that families could practice that and see. And then if assistance is needed, you'll probably see staff members in full PPE just to try to maintain, like I said, safety.
Sorry
The
about that.
green, that's okay. The red arrows will indicate the area in which we will have parents in cars with their students, and we ask that you do not unload students at that time yet, so that we can try to slowly get everybody safely, socially distanced into their correct lineup spaces. We'll have monitors all along the line. We have some black X's on here, which would indicate that we'll have some cones there so that we don't have parents cutting into those parking lot areas. We really want to try to maintain just a nice steady circle and get everybody in and out safely. You'll see the bus loop with the yellow boxes. We'll have monitors there, and we will be exiting the buses, every other bus at a time, and helping the kids get through there. There's also a blue dot or a blue box there that you'll see with the nurse sign on it. That will be a tent where a nurse will be. If a student forgets their mask or drops their mask for some reason or loses it along the way, or maybe just grab the wrong mask, then that will be a place that we'll send the student to talk to the nurse and help get them the appropriate mask. And then any student who has not self-certified will also be sent to the tent so that we can try to get in touch with parents and perform a self-certification. That'll be important. We really can't allow anybody who hasn't been self-certified into the building. And so that's where we'll ask students to go. And that's how we're going to kind of get everybody in. Dismissal will look very similar. Kind of the way that we go in will be the same way in which we come out. We will ask that parents, park along the area there, and then we will have our kindergartners exit the building first and go in that particular order, with our fifth graders being closer to the end of dismissal. And then they will come out and load the buses and the cars. And we'll try to space the kids out as best as possible so that we can get those cars loaded and moving and keep that flow going. I think the next slide will show something that we've been working on. We are asking that all vehicles display a name card. We have printed a yellow sign with everybody's last name on it, and the last name of the student, and the grade or grades in which they're attending here at LBES. We would ask that you place those yellow cards in the front of your dashboard there, so that as we have cars line up in the beginning of the day, we can compare those names to the list of those who still have not yet self-certified, hoping to catch some of the families at that time. The card will also help us at dismissal when trying to find the kids and getting them to the right cars. And then for our materials exchange, this will be helpful as well, because materials will be sorted according to grade and alphabetized. So these are yellow cards we have ready for pickup. And we'll tell you more about when you can do that. And we'll obviously have another set of cards. And if you end up where you forget it or it gets lost, you can just stick a piece of paper in there, anything to really kind of help us know who the vehicle belongs to, so we can get the right kid to the right place. This is a drawing here of our materials exchange. Some of you have probably already come through, and we're so glad that we got to see you. You'll enter in on the one side of the bus loop and then exit. We would like to try to keep this a nice steady flow as well. We would like for you to come up. It would be helpful for us to have that yellow sign up at the front so we can know who you are. And then if you'd pop your trunk, we can place your items into your vehicle for you for that. We are going to have our classroom teachers reach out to communicate, what is needed for pickup and when. Our next, like I said, we had our supplies being sent home yesterday, today, and another one tomorrow. And we're trying to get some of those yellow cards out with that. And then our next pickup will be August 31st between 10 and noon. And then a second opportunity will be between 3 and 5. And we will, again, try to slip those yellow cards out at that time. And your teachers will be communicating in the next few days as to who and what will be needed for pickup. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to your teachers, and then we'll share more details about our materials exchange later.
Audrey or Kelly, pardon to interrupt. Just two quick questions that have come in that you can probably answer right off the top of your heads. What time can a parent start? What time does drop-off start for kids? When can a parent drop them off?
At 9:35.
Very good. And if they have multiple kids, they should list all of the names on the card, correct?
No, this is just last names. So if you have multiple children, your card, Kelly, can you go back to the slide?
Sure.
So you can see, I did like a sample card on this slide. So you see where it says last name. So for me, mine would say Jurov, and then I have a kid in kindergarten, 3rd and 4th. So my card would say Jurov with K, 4 and 5 underneath it. I'm also anticipating that there may be some shared riders going along, which is fine. We would just ask again that they have those cards for each of those kids. So if I end up driving my neighbor's kids with me, I'd want to have, the Jurov card there, as well as, like, say, the Bay card, so that the students that will be exiting can be checked as to whether or not they've been self-certified. That's kind of our big priority at the beginning of the day, is trying to sort through all of that. So it's going to be super helpful for everyone to make sure that they take care of it. It'll be an adjustment, but we'll work it out. Was there a second question, Nate?
You got it. We're all set. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, and our main purpose here is to keep the flow. So most of the arrival procedures are very similar to what you know from the past, but we also know that the morning arrival time with cars has always provided a little bit of congestion, and we really want to be on top of that. A couple other things to add on to the materials exchange. We had last names that begin with A through K yesterday. We had L through Z today. Tomorrow is another pickup day from 9 a.m. to noon. And we would encourage any remote families that have not been able to come in and pick up a supply kit to come between 9 and noon. We also are acknowledge working families. And so we will have another pickup opportunity tomorrow between 3 and 5 o'clock. So if you are a working family and you can make it between 3 and 5, we'd love to see you come through for those remote learning supply kits. I do want to acknowledge yearbooks. We had started to do some yearbook distribution, and it became a little bit unmanageable, and we needed to adjust our organizational systems. So I'd like to open up yearbook distribution to occur again on August 31st. We will get our supplies organized. If you are a remote learning family that purchased a yearbook last year, we have those for you. We do want to get them in your hands so that you can enjoy them. If you have an in-person learner that purchased a yearbook, we will get those in the hands of the classroom teachers so they can distribute. I know that's really important to everyone, and we will get those to you as soon as we possibly can. All right, so this next portion is really about a glimpse into our building. So for the most part, things look similar, but there are definitely changes, and we want to give some visuals for inside the building. I'm going to acknowledge to our remote learning families that we understand and recognize the bulk of the beginning of this presentation seems to be very much speaking to our in-person audience, or for our in-person learners. And a lot of that is because things look different, and we think it's really important to prepare families for what to expect, how they look, how they'll navigate. And then I would say the back end of our slideshow definitely creates space and conversation for our remote from home families. So you'll see our hallways have some new flair. We are needing for students to be distanced as they walk through the hallway. So you'll notice the red tape lines on the floor are sort of separating the right side and the left side. And then we have our pause with please keep social distance on the floor that are separated 6 feet apart. So as lines are maybe waiting in the hallway or students are getting ready to move, they can get a good idea of what that 6 feet between them and the person in front or behind them looks like. So what's not new, we're asking students to stay to the right. What is new is that we have a nice visual on the floor to help guide them to stay to the right. It's also new that they're following the paw prints and that they're staying 6 feet apart. So I want to give a shout out to Nate and Joe from the middle school and our wellness department for supporting us in getting those new pieces put on. It was quite a job.
And Jay Kahn.
And Jay Kahn. Thank you, Jay. He picked out some great stuff for us. So next we want to feature our stairwells. A couple of differences with our stairwells are that they will only go one direction. So we have stairwells that are for going up, and we have stairwells that are for going down. And you'll notice right as you enter the door, it will either say stop, do not enter, so that you will want to turn around and find the other stairwell that will allow you to go through. And we have pause on the floor of those stairwells so you can see which ones, which direction to go. And our in-person facilitators and teachers will orient students to those stairwells. Our classrooms also look a little bit different. So in order to adhere to guidelines, you'll notice that this picture on the right has a desk with one term is a sneeze guard, another is a shield. So a clear shield is fixed to the desk, creates it's quite a barrier for students, and it is a trifold, so it goes around the desk. You'll see the picture on the left has pictures with the desks and shields that are 6 feet distance so that students are following guidelines as they are seated in their desks. And then in the middle, we're featuring some of the other supplies that each classroom has on hand: hand sanitizer, sanitizing wipes, and tissues. It's been a big job to get all of this set up. We're pleased to say that we have adequate supplies, adequate desks, and things will be ready for our students as they enter the building. So we couldn't have done this without our maintenance teams and some really innovative thinking. So some of this feels a little bit out of order, but we just want to make sure that we highlight some of the things that may really be on families' minds. So lunch will also look a little bit different here at LBES. A few things to note: we will all be eating in, students will all be eating in their classrooms, so they will stay with their classmates in that same desk in their classroom. We're limiting our menu options if you're a family that utilizes Quest and places a lunch order, but we are still guaranteeing fresh food that is healthy and going to help their hearts and minds and bellies to be able to function through the day. So individually packaged and sealed, delivered by Quest. They'll be organized by classroom so we can easily get them to students. Meals will come with fresh fruit, vegetable. And then we are asking, just as we had before, families do need to pre-order in order to have the meal ready here for the student on the day that they need it. This information is already on our website. And so when you visit our website on the About tab, you can visit the lunch explanation and menu. So there's information there. All right. So one of the things that we have been doing a lot of work on right now is just helping to support families to visualize what this really looks like. So what's it really going to be like if I'm an in-person learner coming to LBES, and what's it really going to be like if I'm a remote learner at home, or a student that has is utilizing our hybrid option and might be traveling back and forth. So my visual to help kind of walk us through this is a sample daily schedule. So on this schedule, you've got, the schedule is really consistent across the week, Monday through Friday. It does not fluctuate. And part of this is because we know how important structure and routines are for not only our students, but also their families. And it's really going to be helpful for you to know. The only thing that would be different is the special that they have. So whether or not they're experiencing art or music or library. So let's start this experience with an in-person learner in mind. So if I am or sending a third grader to school, that 9:40 to 10 o'clock time is carved out for arrival and really getting into their line and finding their teacher so that they can safely get into school. Our desire is that students are in their classrooms, in their desks by 10 a.m. We know in the beginning, as we grow into this routine, that we may need to, it will be something to work towards, but 10 o'clock start time. So in this third grade classroom, the morning is going to start with a morning meeting. And that is really a common practice across all of our classrooms. And we know how important it is to start the day on a positive note. This is going to be an opportunity for our teachers to take attendance for our in-person learners. It's going to be an opportunity for the teacher, the facilitator teacher in the room, to talk through the schedule. So students that are in the room in person are going to have the facilitator teacher in the room talk through what their schedule is for the day. And they will know just what to expect as they work through their schedule. The teacher will also make any announcements. We want to make sure that we're celebrating birthdays and getting all of that great information out there. So we're noting this to be a synchronous time of day. A synchronous time of day is when we're experiencing live instruction in the moment. In this particular grade level, we are also carving out time for some social emotional activities to support that emotional wellness component. So those in-person learners are getting that live from the teacher that's in their room. And then the math block begins. So it's 10:30. For the first 10 minutes, the teacher in the room is going to project a live mini lesson. So this is a pre-recorded lesson. And the way that all of our grade levels are tackling this is that each person in the grade level, so in kindergarten or in third grade, there are 4 third grade teachers. So each teacher is going to take ownership over a particular content area. So one of the third grade teachers is going to pre-record those math lessons. And the beauty of this is a couple of things. It keeps the instruction consistent for our in-person learners and our remote learners. It's also a value add if we have families that aren't able to conduct all of the remote learning at home, or even for our in-person learners, they would be able to go back to this mini lesson and watch it again, which allows some reteaching that would be really accessible. So all students are watching this pre-recorded lesson on the screen within their classroom. And then the classroom teacher is able to create Zoom sessions within the classroom for students to participate in small group synchronous instruction. So that teacher then is leading small group differentiated instruction that's targeted to the learner's level. The teacher is live, and so they would be able to ask some broader questions of the group or be able to address misconceptions in that moment. But for the most part, they're going to be breaking out using remote learning platforms to be able to access the students and provide that instruction. In this particular schedule, after that math block, there'd be a 10-minute break. So that might provide an opportunity to stretch. It may be a moment that we are all going to get up and kind of wash our hands or hand sanitize to make sure that we're practicing healthy habits. And then we'll shift into our reading block with a similar structure. So there may be a synchronous read aloud. That teacher may do some read aloud to get started. But then we know we're going to shift into that same 10-minute mini lesson video. So they're watching a pre-recorded video with a skill or strategy related to the targeted reading skill at that time. And then they'll shift into their small groups, again, utilizing a remote learning platform, possibly interacting with students as needed. Then they're going to pause and transition to get ready for lunch. So that is through an in-person lens. I want to shift it now to what does this look like for our remote learners at home? So similarly, they would not be following the arrival procedures that we would have here, but you want to think about some structures and routines so that students are preparing to log on and would be ready at 10 a.m. So I'm a third grader. I'm in a remote classroom and my teacher is also remote. At 10 o'clock, I'm going to log on to my Zoom meeting, and I'm going to show a little bit later in this presentation how families get to all of these links and places that I am referencing. So I log on to my initial Zoom meeting, and it's the morning meeting, and I'm going to be greeted by my teacher who's remote hosting this meeting and my classmates all together on Zoom. So the teacher is going to run through the daily schedule. She's going to share some announcements. She's going to get us ready for the day and really orient us to the platforms that we need to be ready for. We'll have, similar to the in-person learners, a social emotional activity and experience that is being led by the teacher in that moment via Zoom. The students are then going to stay on that Zoom meeting where the classroom teacher shares her screen similar to I'm sharing now, and is going to play that pre-recorded video of the math mini lesson. So students are watching, the teacher is playing the video. She could even pause it in the moment and prompt if she's noticing students that maybe look a little bit confused or might need support. So it's asynchronous in the fact that that video is recorded, but it's live in the fact that the students can interact with their teacher in that moment. Then she's going to shift to pushing students out to breakout rooms. So that they can receive individualized support that they need at the time. So if there is a specialist perhaps that might be supporting, they might pop in, but that teacher is going to be able to pair students up to maybe play a math game together and to follow up on the skill or strategy that was taught in the mini lesson. Then our remote learners are also going to experience a break. We know that we need to take a few minutes to get eyes off the screen. We might need a stretch break. We might need to have a restroom break. So for those 10 minutes, they have a couple of options. They might mute their mics and turn off their cameras and just take that 10 minutes and come back. One of the neat strategies that I've seen used and that our teachers are considering is that maybe you just put a timer up. So you set a timer for 10 minutes and students stay logged on. And then as they come back in, they can see how much time they have left. They could also log off and log back on, because at 11:15 that reading block is going to begin. And the teacher is going to do this, a very similar thing. She'll be on Zoom, she'll share her screen, she'll play the mini lesson, and she'll utilize small group instruction via the breakout rooms. She may end that with a read aloud, sort of live in the moment. All the students are on the Zoom call, and she's able to read from her book and possibly even project the pages so students can follow along. And then it would be time to transition and get ready for lunch. And then after lunch and the break, they would join back on for the afternoon schedule. One of the things that I would like to point out now, because as schedules and as elections and teacher assignments went out on Friday, families are recognizing, for the most part, we have in-person students with in-person facilitators or teachers at their grade level. We know in the beginning through this planning, we weren't in a position that we could confidently announce that all of our third grade classroom teachers would be in person or remote. We just really, we needed time to figure out what families would elect and choose. And so I'm excited to share that we are able, all students are assigned to a grade level teacher, and those grade level teachers are in person and remote. Each of our grade levels is unique, and there are nuances or things that are special about each grade level that make their numbers different. It might be the number of sections. Are there 4 teachers or 5 teachers? It might be the number of in-person learners or the number of remote learners. It might be different systems that have been put in place, and really thinking about how we can best support. So I do want to take this opportunity to recognize that at the 5th grade level, you may have noticed something that's a little bit different. We do have our in-person teachers are going to be supporting our remote learners at home, but also our in-person students. And I am confident in this approach at the 5th grade level for several reasons. One of the things that I think is really important to acknowledge is that 5th grade is a highly transitional year. It's a big time for us to promote and encourage independence and really help our students to develop the independence that they need to function in a middle school system. And we really want to be able to help them. So we were in a position with 5th grade, with each of our teachers being in the building and being remote, that we can create structures to be able to function with in-person learners and remote learners. As you heard me share, we're utilizing Zoom on a variety of levels here. And so these 5th grade teachers will be maximizing Zoom to have students log on and interact with their in-person learners and also the remote ones. For the most part, in-person learners in our 5th grade are also going to be on Zoom, just like the learners at home. So I think it's important for me to acknowledge that I think there are some questions out there, and I hope that that does bring some clarity. We're keeping in mind with all of our grade levels, some of our non-negotiables. We need to ensure that there is equity of instruction for our at-home learners and our in-person learners. We are maintaining high expectations and holding true to the learning outcomes that we've decided. And we want to promote safety, health, connection, and learning. So I'm going to shift now into the landing page. So this is the place that we are really excited to share. One of the things we're really excited to share with you. So you will, as families of pre-K through 5th grade learners, be utilizing this landing page. So it looks like this. We've got all of our grade levels along the side, and then the weeks of learning across the top. So all of the shapes here are links that would bring you to a grade levels template. And I'm just going to show you one quick example. So these are going to be ready for you to view as families next Monday, the 31st. And we are going to be pushing plans out by week. So that is one shift from the fall or from the spring that we got some feedback on, and we think it's helpful for families to know what's coming. So each of our templates is going to look very similar. There'll be some slight differences just based on developmental level of the learners, but it'll start with the grade level. You'll have access to the grade level teachers, and we will get Google Classroom links in. And I'm going to just jump down to Tuesday the 1st so that you can see what this looks like. So we've got at the top here, activities that would occur outside of the school day. It's taking just a moment to catch up. So there's an hour outside of the school day that we are going to be supporting families with some additional instruction. And you can see here in my first grade example that they have created space for 20 minutes of reading on Epic, 20 minutes of Moose Math, which is an iPad app, and then 20 minutes of wellness. So this structure will be fairly similar across grade levels. And then you can see the schedule that they're planning to follow for these first few days. So there'll be some morning procedures. We'll list the activity that families can expect at home or at school, and then sort of a to-do. So how are we going to know that you participated? And it might be just that you were there live and interacting. And it might be something that's a post on Seesaw or a response on Google Classroom or some of the other learning subscriptions that we have. So this is something that families will have access to, and we will be posting these 1 week in advance. All right, so I'm going to keep moving us along so that we can get through the remainder of our slides and have additional time for questioning. So this information will be continued to be reviewed by classroom teachers. Audrey, I'm going to pass it to you. We've got about 15 minutes until the end, 12 minutes till the end of our time. So we'll speed through these, but we'll make sure that you have access to the slideshow, and the video recordings will be on our website.
Sorry, Kelly, I'm frantically trying to answer some of these questions for our parents. Lots of great questions coming in, and just want to make sure that if we don't answer them by the time this is over, we will be getting back to you. We'll keep all of these questions and make sure that everyone gets an answer. When we have our students on Zoom, we would like them to jump on so that our teachers can say hello. I think you went ahead, Kel. Okay, so that they could say hello and wave when entering, and really kind of mimic the whole welcome, interactions that teachers and students have. We also would like for them at the same token to also say goodbye and wave, just like they would if they saw each other in person, and really try to provide that experience and promote that connection with each other and with their students. It's really important to practice active listening and taking turns when talking to others. And we'll work that. There's lots of tech features that will kind of help us work through that. We also would like our students to follow our pause expectations. So I brought my friend here who is going to want to promote, students practicing kindness with one another, accepting responsibility, for, what their teachers expect of them. They're going to have to be a little bit more responsible and independent with each new grade that they enter. And so we want to, keep promoting that and prepare them for that. We also would like to welcome challenges, much like this year, like it or not, we were kind of forced to embrace some of those challenges that are either unexpected and that life brings us. And so we want to help our students, when we think of the whole child, and really, embrace new challenges and new ways of doing things so that, we can learn and grow. And it's also really important that we show respect for one another. We would like to roll out some pause rewards and some visits from our Fox here with the students to get them excited and to, really acknowledge and highlight those acts of kindness that they show, and the way that they demonstrate kind and good behavior with each other and towards themselves as well. Cameras should always be on unless you speak to a teacher about, an exception. If there's something going on, obviously we want to, just make sure that we know that you're there and that you're safe. And also see, the teacher, it's important for the teacher to kind of see, like, does the kid look confused? Are they distracted? It's important for our teachers to kind of read our students as best they can, and the body language that they're giving, and know how to kind of address and who to check in with, and how to maybe navigate some of that learning and instruction. We also would ask that, sounds should be off, so everyone is muted. I'm sure many of us have been on Zoom calls where we've heard, dogs barking or a phone ringing or a kid crying or, something that could be a little distracting, and some sounds could be unexpected. And we really want to try to create a calm, peaceful, quiet learning environment for everyone to kind of stay focused and work to the best of their ability. And then we also would like for students to raise their hand to ask questions. Now, there are different features, and teachers will definitely walk students through how to utilize that and work through that. And they'll instruct the students how to do that, so not to worry. But we'd really like to try to, get kids in that mindset that we're in a classroom, we need to take turns, everybody's voice matters, and make sure that we help students with the questions that they have and the thoughts that they're thinking. We would like students to be engaged, so it's not the time to kind of have their toys or things around them. We really would ask that parents kind of set up that space so that students can kind of get into the zone of, okay, this is where I work and this is what I'm going to need to do, and not maybe have all those distractions with them. You'll know your child best and know what's appropriate and what's not, but we would like to try to have their full attention so we can work with them and get them the right instruction. And then we also will be having breakout rooms, which will be used to work with partners or small groups to, do different things, play games, share thinking, and complete different activities. At the elementary level, we have a lot of interactive type of learning, and so that's going to be super important. While I talk about that, I want to jump back to a question I was trying to answer about the breakout rooms, and just clarify that the breakout rooms can look a little different. Depending on, the lesson, the unit, the child's needs, and the demographics of the class, a student may go into a breakout room alone and work on something independently. A student may go into a breakout room with a partner or a few partners and do an activity instructed by the teacher. And then the teacher will sometimes be working with a student independently in a break room, or with a small group, or a group of students. And that's kind of like the inside peek as to what school kind of looks like during the day that you'll get to see from home, which is going to be exciting. It's really important that our students have what they need to be able to, log in and get the work complete that the teachers are asking them to do. So it's really important that we set our students up for success, and they'll probably need some help with that, and making sure that their space is, ready for them to go. We've asked parents and encouraged them to set up like a space for learning that kind of is personal. Maybe the kid can have some say in how it looks, free of distractions, but also set with what, different supplies, scissors, crayons, glue, different things like that are all ready to go. So it kind of like feels as if the child is going into classroom and puts them in that like mindset. We want you to give your child ownership of what that space looks like, so that they feel, like proud that this is my spot and I had a choice in the matter. It's really important to get the kids to buy into that. And then the space should really not be like in a bed or, a place that, is really kind of meant for something other than kind of concentrating or focusing. Supplies and materials should really kind of be accessible and in a central location for them. Some of you might be juggling multiple students, so you might have like a little space that goes there. There's a few examples we pulled to kind of show you some ideas, really just kind of make what you work have. Pinterest is a great place to kind of get ideas and share. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be super simple because it's their space. So don't worry or stress that it needs to be a certain way. Just kind of make it your own. And, you got to live it a little bit to kind of learn what would work best. So you might adjust too. So that's something, again, you can reach out to your teachers about with questions and things like that. And if there's something that you need, you just let them know. It's also important for our students, as I'm sure many of you parents know, to make sure that we have a very predictable schedule and routine. Here at the elementary, we really live on routine. And as we usher kids into school for their very first experience from pre-K up to 5th grade, we really do a lot of work. Teachers lay a lot of groundwork on, procedures and routines to kind of get them in good and build good habits. So it would be great to really reinforce that from home on the time management piece. A teacher had come into my office today and we were talking about how we set alarms on our kids' phones so that they knew, when to go to the next activity or classroom. So any support you can help with that. And our teachers, again, will have great tips and tricks and ideas as to how to kind of work with that. So we definitely want to make sure that you have the support you need, and also know that we want this to be successful. So please reach out with, anything that we can do to help your situation. We would like to schedule an hour of work time outside of the school day, much like as homework. So even though we are going to be together, online and in different ways, we would also like to have we're asking our teachers to give students some work outside of the school day, so that they get into that good habit of practicing some skills and reinforcing some things after that. And then it's really important to just model and promote that positive thinking as a family. Hopefully this whole pandemic has kind of brought people together and given you new perspectives on things. And I think it's, if we kind of really model that positive attitude for our kids, it can really be contagious. I always say fake it till you make it. So even if you're having a tough day, maybe you can try to help students get in that mindset each day with encouraging them and all of that. And their teachers are going to be super excited to see them right away, first thing in the morning. So that will be a great start to their day. And then just, like I said, establishing routines is key. As Kelly showcased to you earlier, the schedule, that's really what the students will be following and making sure that they do.
Can I jump in and carry us forward, getting close to our wrap up time? I just make sure we get through our schedule. So this next one aligns with not only for our remote learners, but also our in-person learners. For all of you, please charge your device. Do it now. Don't wait till even the night before school. We want to make sure that you're able to log in and be able to get on that device, whether you are in person or remote. So that logging in information is going to be key to get us going on a positive first step to get back into learning. If you do not know your login, please reach out so that we can connect you with our tech department and they can get you that information. We will not be able to give logins over the phone. So help us out by getting going on that now. A couple of dates,
Sorry, Kel, I just want to jump in and just let you know, remember our pickup is on August 31st. So if you need a login, that's the time. Our teachers might not be able to really problem solve that the first day as they try to get things going. So as they prepare, we need you to prepare on that end. So we'd like to help you sooner than later.
So this is a slide again, as this comes out, or if you're someone who screenshots, you might want to just take a picture of this one. Meet the teachers happening on the 31st. More information will come from your child's teacher. We've got our materials exchange. Really looking forward to our first day of school with our 1st through 5th graders on September 1st. We'll have some screening going. First day of pre-K on the 3rd. Another materials exchange on the 4th. We're going to strive for each Friday. And then after that Labor Day weekend, we will be welcoming our kindergartners to the building. A reminder of our school hours this year, 10 a.m. to 2:50 for kindergarten through 5th. We have our pre-K schedule here. And just a few more details about Meet the Teacher. Information about this will come from our classroom teachers to each of you. They're acquiring family emails at this time, and we'll push that out. We have a time frame of 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock on Monday for grades 1 through 5. Our pre-K teachers will be reaching out to set up some times on September 1st. And kindergarten teachers will be connecting with families on September 4th after the screening and after we've had an opportunity to place students. So it's going to be a great chance for you to get to know your teachers and interact with them live. We're really looking forward to seeing you soon. All right, so we are winding down to the end of our time, and we do have a hard stop because we need to transition over to our middle school orientation session. We are in the process now of documenting all of the questions from the Q&A. We understand and respect the importance of everything that each parent is wondering at this time, and we do want to get those responses to you. So we will have a follow-up with some Q&A answers out there. We do appreciate each of you logging on tonight, taking an opportunity to get to know each of us and what to expect for this school year. We truly are excited. I am proud of the work that's happening within this building, and it's going to be even better once we have kids on screens and we're able to interact with each of you. So again, thank you so much. We appreciate the hard work and dedication that parents are doing to get ready for this new and different school year, but one that is sure to be truly magical. Thanks for joining us tonight.